Hello and welcome to the monthly girl chat. I've been doing these for I think like 6 months now. I'm not sure if I'll continue them or not, but we'll see. I really do enjoy doing them. I just don't know how you guys feel about them. I definitely want to get more questions if I continue doing them, but I enjoy them. I feel like it's just nice to chat. It's a great space for me to just sit down and just talk with you guys about like whatever. And yeah, it just kind of feels like you're talking to a friend on FaceTime. So that's the vibe that I wanted to give. I do have some questions that you guys asked, and I also am going to pull some questions from my Instagram because I do a weekly Q&A over there on Mondays, and I feel like that's a good place to also get questions. But one of the questions that you guys asked was, what are your top 5 favorite books that you've read so far? I actually did a recent video of like my best books of 2022, and I feel like I read a lot of my favorite books last year, but there are some other books that aren't in that. I really love Before I Let Go, which I read this year, and it's by Kennedy Ryan. Such a beautiful book about like healing and loss, fighting for what you love. Also really loved reading Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren last year. I feel like that book really just made me, I don't know, like really so like nostalgic, because it was like a friends to lovers vibe, and it made me think about all of like just growing up and like how much growth I've had as like just a human in general. And I just really loved it. It was a really cute love story. Some other books I've liked, I really liked Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. It was one of my favorite Colleen Hoover reads, but it might be because it was one of my very first Colleen Hoover read. I read it in like 2013. But I also liked Verity by Colleen Hoover. That's another good book. And then By the Book by Jasmine Gullery is an incredible book as well. I really did like Love Radio too. It was a very cute book. I can't remember who the author is of that one, but I read that one this month, so it'll be in my like reading wrap up at the end of this month. But yeah, that was the only question that I got from you guys. So I'm gonna answer some questions that I didn't answer for my Monday Q&A. I get so many questions on my Monday Q&As, and I try to do like 10, answer like at least 10, and I try to give really in-depth answers, but it's very hard to do because there are so many questions there. So I might just start taking the questions from there and like using them here. Someone asked, would you say you prefer your hometown content versus other places you've lived? Now, I've only really lived in the Midwest, pretty much. I've only lived in the Midwest. I grew up in Springfield here, and then I moved to Chatham when I was like 12, which is like a suburb of Springfield, like ish. It's pretty much the same thing. It's like 5 minutes away. And then I moved to Kirksville, Missouri for college. And during that time I was not a creator, so I wasn't literally creating anything. But then when I was in Kirksville, that's when I started creating content, because I was about to get married and I wanted to have a place to like kind of house all of my like wedding stuff, like videos and like memories. I wanted a place to look back on it, because like when our parents were younger, they had like camcorders and like we didn't, so I just wanted a place for that. And I didn't really start creating like actual like dedicated content other than wedding stuff until I moved here, so I really only had one place to create content. But I do enjoy creating content here versus on vacation better, because I feel like it's very like slow, calm, and that's kind of like the vibe that I want to give. So yeah, I'd say I prefer here a little bit more than other places. Someone asked tips for young Black women attending a college at a PWI. That's a predominantly white institution, like college. I went to PWI in Kirksville, Missouri, and it was difficult, but I think it was difficult because I was finding my place as a Black woman, because I obviously went there when I was 18, grew up in predominantly white spaces, and then I just fell in love with my Blackness. Like that's where I went natural, that's where I really started to find my style. So I would say the biggest tip I would give is to lean into who you are, and whoever that is, whether it's someone who likes natural hair, whether it's someone who likes country music, whether it's someone whatever, like just lean into that, and then find people who you feel like, I don't know, embody that, but also where you can have like a safe space. Like I never rushed in college, and I remember when I immediately left college, I kind of wished that I did rush, and now I'm like okay with it. Like I'm totally fine, because I found my group of people, and I feel like in college I wish I spent more time with myself than like trying to find friends. And I think like you have so many more years after college to like figure out who you are and to like find friends and stuff. It doesn't all have to be done in college. It's such a short period of time in your life, but it feels like it's like the most monumental time in your life. It's really not, I promise you. So yeah, just lean into the black spaces that you have. Really get to know yourself. If you don't feel safe or comfortable around someone, just like don't go around them, don't hang around them. I remember one time there was this girl I hung out with who she was a white girl and she would like steal, and I remember I didn't even know that she would steal, and we like went shopping together and she stole, and I didn't know until we left, and she's like, oh yeah, like I stole this. I'm like, yeah, you literally cannot get in my car with this. Like you have to take this back. Like you cannot, like I can't be a part of this. And I think that sometimes when you're in white spaces, you find out very quickly that there's things that other people can do, and like maybe they get a slap on the wrist for it, and like you literally would not, and you have to stick to your guns. And so I would just say, recognize that when you're in a space where there are a lot of people who don't look like you do have to do things differently, and surround yourself also with people who will like understand that. Another question was, someone said tips for staying motivated in college. I dropped out of college, so I feel like if someone had told me this before, I probably would have stayed more motivated. But find something that you love. Like don't go to school or don't have a major because someone told you that it's like good to have or that they want you to have, because this is your life. You need to find something that you love. So if I had really found a major that I was like absolutely obsessed with, I don't think that I would have ended up first getting kicked out of college and then getting my grades better so I could come back, and then coming back and then dropping out myself. I don't think I would have did any of that, because I went to college initially because I was told that nursing majors like make a lot of money and there's always like jobs available. So I was like, cool, like I want to make money. And then I realized I'm like, I don't like any of this, like at all. And then I became an English major because I like to read books, but then I realized that a lot of the literature, especially in PWIs, is so centered on whiteness that I wasn't really reading books that I would have normally wanted to connect with. And then I started working a side job where I was helping people with special needs and like neurodivergent families, and that's where I fell in love with like my work. And I wish that I had tried different jobs and really leaned into what I love, because then I probably would have been like a sociology major, and I ended up adding that in as a minor. But it was literally like my last semester of senior year. I have like 11 credits left, didn't finish or anything, and it's because it just wasn't for me. I ended up finding something else that I love. But find what you love, and I think that that's what will keep you there. Someone also asked, how am I? I'm doing well. I'm really learning about myself and probably growing more than I ever have, and becoming comfortable in my own skin and like with my own voice. With that comes negativity. I shared on Instagram that I found this thread of people just literally bashing me and like talking about my hair, like my outfit, like saying, you know, lots of like mean things, like hundreds of people, and it genuinely did not hurt my feelings. Like it really didn't. And I think it's because I'm so secure in who I am that if you don't like my style, you don't like that I wear sandals with socks, or you don't like that I have an afro and I don't wear makeup, or if you don't like that I don't wear nails, or whatever it is, it literally doesn't bother me, because I'm so secure in myself and I know that I'm doing what is right for me, that it like, old me would have been like, oh my god, I need to like change everything that I am because like people don't like it, because I was such a big people pleaser. But now I'm very comfortable in myself and it makes me feel good. So that's how I am. Thank you for asking. Someone also asked, what advice can you give for someone who wants to start content creation for a hobby? Just start. I feel like I get questions all the time about how to start as an influencer. And when I think about other hobbies, like no one really asks like, hey, how do I start reading? Because they just read, you know, but they might ask, hey, what are some good books to read? I would like to start reading. So ask yourself like, what are good pieces of content that I would like to create? Like, do I want to create content outside, content that's inspiring, content about fashion? Like ask yourself questions like that, but literally just start. Because same with a reader or just anyone starting any hobby, whether it's like crocheting, knitting, whatever, you're gonna start and then you're gonna realize, well, I don't really like this, or I want to tweak this and I want it to be a little bit different, but you can't figure that out until you start. Another question someone said is, any good advice on being a good reader when it comes to school textbooks that keep losing focus? that's a hard one. I think that goes back to finding what you love. But also if you just have a hard time just focusing in general, I would give yourself time blocks and lots of breaks. So maybe like read for 30 minutes and then take a break, or read for an hour and like dedicated, like don't touch your phone or anything. And just like get in the zone, maybe get a study room at the library, and then like give yourself like a good amount of time, not like 5 minutes, like give yourself a good amount of time where you can like actually chill and relax, like get a snack, talk to a friend, FaceTime or whatever. And I feel like that will really help you. And there was one more question that someone said, do you have any advice on how to reach out to brands to promote their products? I'd say the biggest thing that's helped me, granted I have management now, but before, the biggest thing that helped me was actually using the products, because if I'm using something and constantly talking about it, people know that it's like me. Like example, neutral outfits, that's like my vibe. Like sweatpants, that's my vibe. Like I wear it so often that people actually ask me like, hey, where's a good place to like get sweatpants, or a good place to get this or that? And I can give them recs. And I feel like if you are not a spokesperson, but if you talk about something so much that like brands that fit into that category would just naturally like be able to connect with, I feel like that's the easiest way to get a brand's attention. So yeah, I would just say really like figure out what your brand pillars are, and like what things you'd like to promote and what things are like you, I guess, and stick to that and become like a very knowledgeable person in that, so that people constantly come to you whenever they think of those things, and brands will also do the same. But reaching out, I feel like when I use products that are from a brand, it's very easy if I'm constantly sharing or using the product, just like naturally, because you know, like shampoo, I wash my hair frequently, I like wear clothes every day. If you're doing something a lot and you're sharing it a lot, then I feel like it gives the brand like the ability to take notice. So yeah, another question someone asked is well, these are all just like super nice things. They're not even questions. Someone said, I travel to Springfield for work during session. Your page makes me see Springfield through a new lens. Currently binging your YouTube videos and loving them. And also I love the way you view things, giving new positive insights to everyday things. And those are 3 different things that people encourage me on. And that's so nice. And I feel like I really try to make this space be a space where you can come to feel calm, relaxed, where you can learn, where you can heal, where you can just take a deep breath and let your shoulders sag a little bit. And I really hope that I can continue to create that same space here as I also grow as a 30-year-old woman. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.